Hi everyone, this is Paras and I welcome you to this new exciting video on NumPy. NumPy is the fundamental package for scientific computing with Python. And the great success for open source scientific computing can be attributed to this Python package because before the advent of NumPy, everyone was pretty much dependent on proprietary software like MATLAB and Wolfram Mathematica. So let's dive deeper into NumPy today. So let us now start this tutorial on NumPy fundamentals for data science and machine learning. Now NumPy is undoubtedly at the core of entire scientific computing Python ecosystem. And all the packages for, you say, for mathematical analysis, SciPy is there. For signal processing, for image processing, OpenCV is there. Data processing packages like Pandas is there, Dask is there. They all draw their power from NumPy, and that is why it becomes so important to understand how can we use NumPy. Even other packages for tasks like GIS, they are also built on NumPy. So it essentially forms the core of the entire scientific computing Python ecosystem. Now, one might go ahead and ask that since Python native ecosystem is so great, we can have lists of lists, we can do computations. Why was it necessary to have this extension to the native ecosystem? Why did we need NumPy? Now, my dear friends, the problem is that Python is slow. Python is painstakingly slow, especially for the scientific computing tasks. Right? You see, in scientific computing, one of the most basic operations that you can do is to calculate the spectral norm of a matrix. Now, you do not need to understand the rubrics of spectral norm, but it's a computation that we do. It's a very normal computation, and it was found out that when we did the computation in C, it took merely 2 seconds, and on Python it took about 170, 180, or 200 seconds. So that's a lot of time, and it showed that Python was slow. And now the programmers, the data professionals, the scientists, they wanted a language which is easier to understand, that anyone can easily become acquainted to, learn, and can move ahead easily. And it is also high performant. So Python was there. Now the great thing about Python is that it is very extensible. It is very extensible. The great people of NumPy, the open source contributors, what they did, they used this extensible power of Python, and they wrote engines. Now, what are engines? Engines are written in these compiled languages, like C is there, Fortran is there. So these engines are written in the compiled code of these languages, and Python can in turn invoke these engines in the background, uh, meaning that you can write the code in Python, but it is being executed in compile C or Fortran instead of Python itself. And that is how we get the best of both worlds. But it is fast and it is also very efficient. Although there's a small overhead, but it is not noticeable, because in these times the processing time is it's not very important. It's not very important compared to the coding time, right? So that is how Python, the NumPy came into being, and it has been ruling the scientific ecosystem, scientific computation ecosystem since then. Now there are a lot of ways for installing NumPy to get started, but although it's your choice to install NumPy on your local machine, but I suggest for this course, since most of the people watching this video are beginning their machine learning and data science journey, I suggest that they use Collaboratory. Collaboratory helps you get started easily. You just have to go to the GitHub link that is provided in the description of the video, and you will find this IPython notebook.ipynb intro NumPy fundamentals, and you just have to click the Collaboratory, open in Collaboratory, and you will get this. You will be redirected to this page, and you can quickly get started. You just have to run cells with Shift Enter. For the uninitiated who have never worked with IPython notebooks, you just have to run these cells using Shift Enter. So all these installation options are available if you want to install NumPy on your local machine as well. Now, coming to NumPy arrays, what are NumPy arrays? In any language, the first and foremost thing that you learn is the data type, or what is the fundamental object, what is the fundamental type which makes which gives the data representation in that language. So in NumPy, in this package, the fundamental object is the ND array. The ND array is basically an n-dimensional array. The n in this n-dimensional array makes reference to the fact that it is an arbitrary number of dimensions that this array can take. It could be a single number, it could be an entire tensor of many dimensions. Also, the important thing to keep in mind that all the elements of this array has the same type. And why do they have the same type? They have the same type for the mathematical operations to be faster, because with multiple data types the operations would be very slow, and the main goal of NumPy is to have fast and efficient numerical computation. So that is why all the elements in an ND array have the same type. So now let us see a few examples, right? So first we import NumPy as NP. NP is the most commonly used alias for NumPy. And then we use the array method constructors to build an array, right? So for a one-dimensional array, we do np.array, and we passed in the parentheses a list 1, 2, 3. So the argument to this np.array is a list, right? This Python list, and it gets converted into an array, which is stored in the in one dimension, in one dim, right? And for a two-dimensional array, similarly, we have this. You can see the difference between the one dim and the two dim is that we're using two parentheses here. So it is essentially a list of lists in Python, right? So this is one caveat. This is one thing that many people miss out on. They will say that this is also a one-dimensional array and this is also a one-dimensional array, but it is not, right? So these are two examples of two-dimensional arrays, that this is also a two-dimensional array and this is also a two-dimensional array. And this is a three-dimensional array, a list of list of list. So we can I can show you the visual representation of these above arrays. So this is the one dim, right? This is the one dim. The shape is 3 comma. Now okay, we will consider this later, but the word axis and dimension can be used interchangeably. So later in this course or later in this tutorial, when I refer dimension or axis, they are the same thing. So this is a one-dimensional array and it contains 3 elements, which is visible here in the shape. Now this is a two-dimensional array which has the shape 1, 3 with 3 elements in it. And similarly, this is a two-dimensional array, with 6 elements and the shape 2, 3. Now we come to three-dimensional arrays. Three-dimensional array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a 2, 2, 3. This is the shape. And it has 3 dimensions and the number of elements are 12. So three-dimensional arrays are basically nothing but two-dimensional arrays stacked behind one another, right? You can see that 2 is the number of channels. So this is the first channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the second channel is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is the number of layers, how many layers are stacked. So you can see that it is channel, height, and width. That is the representation of shape in NumPy. The number of channels is 2, the height is 2, and the width is 3. So that is the representation in NumPy. Now let us quickly print these arrays. So we are simply just printing these arrays, and as I told you, it's a simple shift enter. So one-dimensional array with 3 elements, two-dimensional array with 1 rows and 3 columns, and similarly two-dimensional array with 2 rows and 3 columns, and a three-dimensional array. Now we can inspect and confirm the dimensionality using the ndim. So this is how you can what happens when we are doing machine learning, we often want to see that what are the dimension of the arrays, of the parameter arrays, whether it is the base array or the weight array, right? Or the bias array or the weight array. So we need to check the number of dimensions. So the number of dimensions can be checked using the ndim. So we can inspect it using this, and we have checked that this is indeed a two-dimensional array. This is not a one-dimensional array, right? And as I mentioned here, that the shape should not be confused with the dimensionality. The shape should never be confused with the dimensionality. Now this is a one-dimensional array shape, this is a two-dimensional array shape, this is also a two-dimensional array shape, and this is a three-dimensional array shape. So we have talked about this, how these are arranged in channel and height and width. Say the 2, 2, 3 indicates two elements along the first axis, two elements along the second axis, and three elements along the third axis. So the channel height and width is a much more intuitive, it's a much more intuitive way of understanding things. Now, like there is shape, we also have size. What is the size of an array? Now, the size of an array gives the total number of elements that are present in that array. So, as it is visible here, for this one-dimensional array that we had here, there are three elements. So, we'll get, for using one-dim.size, we'll get 3. And for this, we'll get 3 as well. For this, we'll get 6. And for this, we'll get 12. So, we can confirm it here. Now we print the number of elements of array 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, and 3 as using the size, right? Now it also utilizes different data types. We will discuss this later, but there's a quick peek here that what is the data type of the element that is present in the array. So we can inspect that using D type. What is the data type, right? So this is how we can inspect the data type. So all the elements are of the data type int64. They are 64-bit integers. Now there are three ways how we can create these NumPy arrays. We can either create them using Python structures, lists, and tuples, the structures that you're already familiar with. We can also use NumPy's intrinsic array creation objects. We'll see it now, just in a few minutes, that what intrinsic NumPy array creation objects are, and we can also use some special library functions for generating some special arrays, right? So the first thing is that how can we generate arrays from existing Python structures? So as you can see here that we pass in a list. We have done this. We pass in a list in np.array and we get an array from a list, and we can also get an array from a tuple. Similarly, we can also get an array from a set. So let's quickly run these sets and verify. Yeah, so array from a list, we get this. Array from a tuple, we get this nd array, and we get this array from the set numpy task pandas. Now, so this was a simple and this was very easy. Now coming to intrinsic NumPy array creation objects. So we do not want to manually insert everything. Like if we want to get an array of all elements as 0, we do not want to put in like 0 everywhere. We do not want lists of lists or tuples of tuples. We do not want that, right? So NumPy offers these convenience methods for these special cases. Like if we want an array of zeros of dimension 5, right? So we can do np dot zeros, and as an argument we pass 5, right? np dot ones, np dot arrange. It gives an array in this particular range, right? So we can quickly check. Empty is there, linspace is linearly spaced, full, indices 3, 3. They take tuple as an input. We get these here. So this is an array of zeros, 5 zeros, as 5 was the argument here. And for an array of ones, we passed in the tuple, a tuple of the shape, that what shape ones array do we need. So we essentially passed in a tuple. Now an array of empty entries, np.empty using np.empty, and an evenly spaced array in a range. So this is a range function, a range, right? So 1 to 10 in 2 steps, right? 1 to 10 in 2 steps. Array with the same number on each entry. So -2 was the input here. 3, 3, this tuple was the size, right? This was the shape, I'm sorry. and this was the element that we wanted. So it created a full array of that particular size with -2. Now we're talking about the linspace method. The linspace method generates an array of evenly spaced entries given a range and a step size. So this is the generated array from linspace, I guess. Yes. The indices method generates an array representing the indices of the grid, as you can see here. So now coming to use of special library functions. Sometimes we need to have a diagonal array. Sometimes we need an identity matrix. Sometimes we also need a diagonal matrix in which that only the diagonal contains ones and zeros or at all other places. So we use I function there, right? And sometimes we use just an array of random values. So for that we have these methods. We have these special library functions, which are np.diag for diagonal, and identity for an identity matrix. As you know that we in mathematics also we use in for the n dimensional identity matrix. So we are passing in 3 here, so we get an identity matrix of 3 of dimension 3 by 3, right? Now you see that some people get confused between identity and I. So we definitely do not want to get confused between I and identity. As you can see here, that when we are using I, the argument was 4 here, right? And we get a diagonal matrix with ones and zeros elsewhere. So this is our I functions, and then rand. Rand is for returning an array of random numbers which are sampled from a uniform distribution. So this is rand. So I hope you like this video. We will cover topics such as vectorization, array mathematics, array data types, conversions, manipulations, logic functions, indexing, iteration, and some statistical, basic statistics with NumPy and linear algebra with NumPy in later videos. So I hope you like this video, and like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video. Thank you so much.